Hey guys, um, I wanted to do this video for a bit now, and I was just waiting to, watch the whole show, and I also watched it a second time. But Night of the Seven Kingdoms is basically the short but sweet addition to the Game of Thrones universe. Um, it takes place basically between House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones, and this is exactly what this franchise needed. In my opinion, we obviously didn't get a great ending to Game of Thrones, and House of the Dragon, while I think the first season was generally great, I think the second season really dropped the ball in a lot of ways, and it kind of like put a sour taste in my mouth, even like looking back on season one. And I kind of just realized the show is just like hopelessly bleak and bland, and in ways that Game of Thrones never was. I agree it's a dark show, but it always had moments of levity, even down to its direction style. It just seemed more light and naturalistic, while House of the Dragon's always dark. But this is a more lighthearted, even comedic at times story that's just genuine quality, and it actually like leaves you wanting like the second season really bad, and like after at the end of every episode you're like, I want more, I want more. It leaves you wanting more, but in a good way. Sort of like how after you're done with a great like dinner, you're like wanting more for dessert. um and yeah, we get into it, and the first thing I'll say, like on rewatch, the first two episodes, which I thought were like good but not like anything remarkable, they just became so much better for me when I watched them a second time. Hold up, how do I get to the? Oh, here. Yeah, so these first two episodes, I'm gonna open all the tabs before we get started. These first two episodes are like in sort of the same category. They're kind of like introduction, and episode 3 is like where the shit hits the fan. So I'll just read the summaries because I don't even think they have synopses yet. So Dunk buries his deceased mentor, Sir Arlen of Pennytree, taking his sword, his shield, and 3 horses, and travels to a tournament being held in Ashford. So the first line of this series is, I don't know the right words, which is kind of Dunk's character in a nutshell. He's a sort of not the cleverest guy, but he has like a good heart, and he's very big and physically capable, and he's got a lot to give. Very likable. So he stops at an inn, and a bald child that Dunk believes is a stable boy asks to be his squire for the tournament, but Dunk refuses. Dunk meets plumber Ashford Stewart and requests to enter the tournament by claiming that Arlen knighted him before dying. Plummer says that someone must vouch for him. He seeks out Sir Manfred Dundarian, whom Arlen served. 2 contemptuous prostitutes, Beone and Red, mock Dunk for his ragged appearance and claim Manfred is unavailable. Dunk meets Sir Stephen Fossaway and befriends his squire Raymond Fossaway, who's kind of like Podrick, but I kind of liked him better, honestly. Podrick Payne was in Game of Thrones. And then he watches a puppet show, and he kind of is smitten by this, dark-skinned girl named Tanzel, who's this puppet master, and she's doing a little show about knights and a dragon. Raymond takes Dunk to Sir Lionel Baratheon's tent, and basically there's a great scene that, honestly, on first watch, I wasn't really sure if I liked it, but I do like it now, and there's dancing, and you meet Lionel, who's very sort of intoxicating in terms of his personality. And he dismisses his tournament chances. Dunk finds Manfred, who refuses to vouch for him. Back at the campsite, out of nowhere, the little bald kid is there, and he calls himself Egg, and he agrees to let him serve him for the tournament. Dunk names himself Sir Duncan the Tall and makes Egg his squire. And I really love this last scene where they're just lying on their back, and they're looking at the sky, and they see a shooting star. And it's actually kind of beautiful. And to me, that last scene summarizes the episode. It's kind of just like a very like natural sort of light in terms of its in terms of color, like not like light as in it doesn't have any depth. I'm meaning like it's positive. It's very fun to watch and kind of get lost in it, as if you're looking at the sky, get lost in it. So yeah, this was a good episode. Like I said, it's pretty lightweight. You kind of just get lost in it, and it has a great ending where Egg is there. Egg is a very cute child. That sounds so wrong. Okay, I mean he's like cute in like a kid way. A great actor playing him, and Dunk is a fantastic actor playing him, Peter Claffey. And they got a great dynamic, and when they're there, like looking up at the stars, that's kind of like two brothers, and that's what their relationship develops into, and you learn more about that, but I don't want to spoil it without getting to it. So second episode, Hard Salt Beef. I actually prefer the first one better, although it's rated a bit higher. Give me a second here. We get Dunk talking more to lords, trying to get them to remember Arlen and like vouch for him that he is indeed the squire of this night. And then like the Targaryens come in, but like for some reason Egg like goes and says like I gotta leave as soon as the Targaryens start coming in to the tournament. So we see Prince Baelor, who's the heir to the Iron Throne, Prince Maekar, and Prince Aerion. Maekar is Baelor's brother. Aerion is Maekar's son. And we get the impression right off the bat that Aerion is not the greatest guy in the world. The Kingsguard, Sir Roland Crakehall, and Sir Donald Duskendale question Dunk's legitimacy as a knight. Dunk sneaks into Ashford's castle and hears that two of Maekar's sons, Daeron and Aegon, are missing. He asks the Targaryens to vouch for him. This is a great scene. Baelor remembers Arlen and vouches for Dunk and advises he creates his own coat of arms. So this is where we're introduced to Baelor, who in just this is like a 6-episode mini-series, basically. We get so much characterization of this guy, and he's so likable. And this is where it starts. It's the thing that like the highest or the second highest guy in the realm is the only guy that remembers this like very kind of What is all this, by the way? Look at all this stuff down here. Like, do they have to put this while I'm talking? Yes, we have to talk about there is a pretty big nudity scene that's kind of insane. Just ignore that, it's just weird. Dunk and Egg watch Tanzelle perform. Infatuated, Dunk asks Tanzelle if she'll paint a new coat of arms on his shield, which she accepts. Lionel drafts Dunk into a tug-of-war game. Dunk sells his favorite horse to buy new armor. This is what I love about this character. It's like you really feel in these first 2 episodes that everything is on the line for him in his life. If he doesn't win this, which he probably won't, like his life is over. And it it immediately endears you to the character because you really do want him to win because he's like such a nice person. And like he just has like a vibe and a charisma about him that's just sort of slightly provincial, I guess. Like he's kind of like simple, but just like a kind human. I don't know why I said kind human, kind man. I hate when people say like, "Oh, he's a good human." I've always hated that, so I don't know why I said that. He's a kind man. So they watch the jousts, and it includes Prince Valar, Lord Medgar Tully, and then at the end of the episode, and this I really like this. There's an amazing sort of dialogue scene where it's Dunk is like, this guy, Sir Arlen, his master, like bled for these lords, fought in their wars, ate at their tables, and nobody can remember his name. And he ends it with like, his name was Sir Arlen of Pennytree, and I am his legacy, and on the morrow we shall see what he has wrought, or something like that. And it's this amazing, once again, just like perfect. It makes you root for him because, like, even after his master is dead, he's still seeking to honor him and, like, be his, like, memory in the world after he's dead, and also to honor the man that took him in after he like lost everything, which we see later in a flashback scene in episode 5. But yeah, we should talk about this. Like I said, this film has a bit of a, or this series has a comedic streak, and we get like a very comical scene in the first 2 minutes where like Sir Arlen just walks out and he has like the biggest wiener you've ever seen. It was like a prosthetic, and it reminded me of the end of the movie Boogie Nights, where he like shows you what he has. And the difference between that and this is like you do not expect it in this. But in Boogie Nights, everybody knows what the ending of that movie is. I remember when I was watching it with my friend, I was like, that's what the end of this movie is. It's so obvious. He's just going to show everybody. Because the whole movie, they're like, oh, it's so big, it's so big. I was like, he's going to be like pulling it out and it's going to be like huge. And that's what it was. But everybody knew that was going to happen. In this, it's out of nowhere. And it's like, it is kind of scarring, I'll be honest. It's like, it's a little, it's like a garden hose. I'm exaggerating a bit, but I did watch the making of video where they like tell you how they made the episode, and apparently it was a 10-inch prosthetic that could like pee and everything. So that would be very strange to be the person making that in the prop department. So I'm not exactly sure if that was, it was funny, but it was also very uncomfortable. Like, I don't love that scene, but also it's not like a bad scene, it's just weird. But like I said, it's like comedic. There's like comedic elements to this. This is when the shit hits the fan. As you can see from the rating, we jump up about 1 point. It's directed very well by Sarah Smith, who is a fantastic director that really proved herself in this episode that she made. And there's some really clever stuff. So there's some scenes where Egg's training the horse. Egg tells Dunk that only highborn knights compete on the tournament's first day. Dunk buys some food. Tenzel said his shield will be ready in the evening. Egg requests to permanently squire for Dunk, but Plummer interrupts them. He privately asks Dunk to participate in a rigged joust against Sir Andrew Ashford to recoup money spent on hosting the costly tournament. They essentially want Dunk to like sort of dishonor himself and like not fight in a fair match, but they'll basically let him win because they want to bet on Dunk because no one's going to bet on him, so the odds will be really good. It's basically a corrupt match, sort of like what they do in Pulp Fiction, if you remember that. Like, they're throwing the match because they're betting on Dunk and they're going to make a lot of money. Then this fortune teller, they see Arian act dishonorably and basically kill the horse during the joust, which is very dishonorable, and it enrages the crowd and there's like a riot. A fortune teller walks up to Egg, and he says, like, "You will be king, and you will die in a hot fire, and all shall rejoice in your dying." She also tells Dunk that he'll be richer than a Lannister, which I thought was like in Game of Thrones, in the Book of Brothers, in the Kingsguard. Dunk had more pages than Jaime, so I thought that's what the prophecy meant. He'll be richer than Jaime Lannister. I'm just checking to make sure it's recording. You know, I got that paranoia about losing footage. There's a funny scene where Raymond addresses his hatred for the Targaryens. They're in the tent, and Egg is watching Tanzel's performance of a dragon being slain, and all of a sudden, Arianne walks in, and then it cuts back to Dunk, and then Egg, like, runs in the tent and, like, says, like, Arianne's hurting her. He's hurting, this girl that you kind of had a crush on. So, like, Dunk just, like, runs over the tent, barges in, sees Arianne, who's, like, breaking the girl's finger, and he just, like, punches the guy in the face, throws him on the ground. The guards quickly restrain Dunk, and they basically, Arianne puts his teeth on the ledge of the stage and wants to curb stomp him, like, break out all his teeth. But then Egg walks in, and he's like, "Stop!" And then he reveals that he is the lost prince that was, talked about earlier in episode 2, that got lost on the road with Prince Daeron. He says, like, if you do anything to him, you'll hear from my father. And that's the big reveal. It's an amazing plot twist that was well built up, and there's some amazing music. So this is when the show really gets great. It's a fantastic episode, and it's only topped by the next two, which are absolutely great. Once again, essentially, Egg tells them that his real name is Aegon Targaryen, and Dunk is very upset about this, because in the moment he thinks that, like, Egg is just, like, taking advantage of him and, like, making fun of him. But then later he acknowledges that he meant no harm. We get a scene with Baelor talking to Dunk, and he says, like, request a trial by combat. As a knight, you have the right. And then Arianne demands a trial by 7, so he must find 6 other knights to fight beside him, or if he does not, he will be executed. Stefan agrees to fight for Dunk, and Egg says that Daeron, Maekar, and the 3 Kingsguard will fight for Arianne. Daeron apologizes to Dunk and promises to intentionally fall from his horse. He privately tells Dunk about a prophetic dream of seeing Dunk with a dead dragon. Very ominous, especially if you know what... Actually, I'm not going to say anything. Pate is the blacksmith, informs Dunk that Tanzel has fled Ashford and has returned to Dorne, then gives him his shield and armor. As dawn break, Egg brings Lionel, Robin, Sir Harding, Sir Humphrey Beesbury to fight for Dunk, but Stefan switches sides after Arianne promised him a lordship. Lionel knights Raymond. This is an amazingly shot scene. Is this another Saras? Yeah, she's a great director. The knighting scene is great, and then there's still one knight short, so it looks like he's going to be executed. He gives an amazing speech to all the lords watching, and he says, like, he gives a great speech. Someone stands up, but then he farts, so it's like, this makes him really mad because his life is on the line, and he's like, "Has courage deserted the noble houses of Westeros? I will not believe it so. Are there no true knights among you?" It's an amazing scene. It's completely iconic. It's like memed. It really has like a place in the culture at the moment, and probably forever. but it's an excellent scene. And then the freaking episode ends with Baelor coming in, taking off his helmet. I will take Sir Duncan's side. Game of Thrones music. Cue the Game of Thrones music. First time we've heard it properly in this. And then Maekar says, "Have you abandoned your senses? This man attacked my son." Baelor says, This man protected the innocent, as every true knight must." It's like, boom. That is a good freaking punchline ending. It's like, yes, this is a great show. This is what fantasy should be. This is a great, sequel to Game of Thrones. I know it's a prequel, but to me, like, House of the Dragon never lived up to one of these scenes. To me, never. And the scenes they got that were epic were always like kind of like weird and didn't make much sense in retrospect. Like the scene where freaking Rhaenys like comes out of the dragon pit and just stands there and doesn't kill anybody. And then in the next season, she's like, "We must protect the innocent," even though she killed a bunch of innocent people in the episode before. It's like, what? Are you just saying that all women are great and they never want to fight, and all the men are evil and want to fight? It's like, that's what that show turned into, and it's, well, it's sad, but we got this show, so. Alright, this is my favorite episode. This thing is a freaking... it was like a 9.8. It got review bombed by Breaking Bad fans, but 9.5. I mean, who really cares? This one's directed by Owen Harris, which, okay, this guy freaking can direct action. This is one of the finest action scenes I've ever seen. It's in TV, which is rare, and it was just really incredible. It's the joust. And, essentially, it starts, we get a very cute moment between Dunk and Egg, the two brothers at this point. Basically, Dunk is the brother that Egg always wanted, because Aerion is, like, extremely cruel, and he's basically, like, a psychopath, and he's basically threatened to maim Egg, and he's, like, killed his cat and all this stuff. He's just, like, a horrible person, and a brother to Egg, so Dunk is like the new brother he never had. The Trial of Seven begins. Also, Egg is like obsessed with knights, and like it's really cute and like special that he's so obsessed with Dunk, because it shows like Dunk is a great knight, and Egg is like in love with that about him. Like he admires it so much. So the Trial of Seven begins, and like this is just a great scene. Egg gets, Dunk gets absolutely destroyed, blacks out. We get a flashback. He's like a kid. He's with this girl named Wraith, who's also darker skinned, so it recontextualizes his crush on Tanzelle. And basically, it culminates in like them getting into an altercation with this like corrupt city watch guy who slits the girl's throat, and Dunk is not able to protect her. So now you see why he was so eager to protect Tanzelle and attack the Prince Aerion. And then like after the girl's throat is slit, and I love this scene, it's extremely epic, and it really makes Sir Arlen a better character. He like just comes out and he's all drunk and he's like, "Leave that boy alone," and he like kills all the guards and fights, and he's drunk, but he's doing the right thing, and it's awesome. And then he follows Dunk follows the knight Sir Arlen for a while, and then he passes out unconscious. Sir Arlen finally sees him, walks over to him, and says, "Get up." Cut. Dunk gets up. There's just amazing action that's extremely bloody. A lot of damage being done to Dunk. But he's so big, and like his armor does protect him from a lot of the shallow stabs he's getting, but he's in a lot of pain. And finally, Dunk collapses. And this is where you get the Rocky Balboa moment. You have Egg screaming, "Get up, Sir Duncan! Get up! Get up, sir!" And then they go to blow the horn that, the match is over. And then we get Sir Orland saying, "Get up." And then Egg is like, "Wait!" Freaking iconic scene. Dunk gets up like a true hero, and they fight like zombies. I loved this scene because they were totally like zombies at this point. They had no energy left, and Dunk basically bashes him with the shield until he says he yields. And I like that about Dunk. I like that he didn't kill him. I like that he incapacitated him. And yeah, the scene ends with Baylor sort of saying, like, "I need good men," and taking Dunk into his service. But when they remove his helmet, they see a fatal wound caused by his brother, and he collapses in a powerful, powerful episode. Absolute masterpiece, I think, this episode. Just a fantastic piece of cinema and TV. See, Breaking Bad. I told you they were review bombing it. Like, anyone that sees the episode knows that, like, there should not be this many 1 stars. Like, I'm perfectly fine if you didn't think it was a 10. I'm even fine if you thought it was a 7. But anything less than that is, like, no chance. But to me, I think anything other than a 9 or a 10 is incorrect. It just doesn't make any sense. And 1 is a clear joke. I wanted to actually check something. I feel like I've seen this actor somewhere. Nope. I guess not. Oh yeah, and this guy that played young Dunk was like a great casting choice, both in terms of matching the look of the characters and also his performance. And he's been in like nothing, so I think he's gonna be getting a lot of jobs after this. I rated this one a 10 out of 10 just because it was getting review bombed, but I'd probably give it like a high 8s, low 9s. Another Sarah Smith episode. This was a great finale. It's more chill. It does some risky stuff using like jazz and kind of like doing that comedic thing just for like a tiny bit of time. It's a little controversial. I think it works, but it's a bit controversial. There's a funny scene with Lionel where he invites him to be a night at Storm's End, but Dunk is sort of like very upset. He believes that like he's just causing problems. So he's such a nice guy. He believes he's just causing problems for other people, and like he doesn't want to go anywhere with anybody because he's just gonna cause pain to other people. Then we see Baylor's body cremated. There's a great scene with Valar where the son is kind of upset. There's a cool scene with Raymond where he married a prostitute, which is kind of funny. Maekar informs Dunk that Arryn will spend time in the Free Cities. I love the scene with Maekar because he's, at his core, like, not a bad person at all. He's just very stressed and quite grumpy, but he did love his brother, and he did not mean to kill him. It was just, like, in the heart of battle, He put a little too much pounds per square inch, or whatever. I don't think that's the correct term. What is it called? Like, what's the unit of force? Is it newtons? See, I'm not the smartest dude. I took physics in 12th grade, but I don't really remember anything, and I wasn't very good at it. Oh, Jules. Is that Force? Fuck. Newtons. See? I was right. Newtons squared. No, meters per second squared. I don't know. Just don't. Let's just move on. And then we get a Dunk declines, and he's like, I'm done with princes. Egg overhears this, and he's like, you're not the knight I thought you were. It's kind of heartbreaking, because Dunk should say yes. He just has to, because they're such a good duo. He has a duty to the realm. He has a duty to this young child to, train him, make him a great king potentially, because the prophet woman, the prophetess, the fortune teller said he would be king. And then we get a small flashback of Dunk asking Arlen why he was never knighted, and then there's this funny fake death scene that he freezes up, and then but he wakes up and he's like, and that's why a knight always finishes a story. And then there's an absolutely amazing scene where, actually before that, Darren tells Dunk he should mentor Egg to prevent him from becoming like Arian, who was also a happy child but turned quite evil as time went on. Egg discovers that his hair is regrowing, and this reminds him of his brother. Essentially, he cut his hair because he didn't want to look like his brother, so he takes a knife to Arian's bedroom, and then there's a great scene where you realize Maekar, his father, is just sitting in the corner, and there's no words needed, but his father embraces him. Egg drops the knife, and he's crying. It's a very powerful scene, and I love they didn't add any dialogue. It's so good, and you can see there's a lot of pain there for everybody, but Maekar is not, he kind of acts right, in my opinion. Dunk finally agrees to squire Dunk finally agrees to squire Egg, but will only take him on the road and not be at Maekar's palace like the previous offer was. I don't know if I mentioned that. Maekar refuses and says his son can't live like a peasant. Raymond buys Sweetfoot back for Dunk, who gifts it to Raymond. Dunk leaves Ashford. Egg arrives, and they depart together. So Egg is like my father consented. They consent to travel to Dorne together, and there's a great scene where they're walking their horses through a wheat field, and it's beautiful, super cinematic, one of my favorite shots. And then there's a post-credit scene where an angry Maekar realizes Egg is gone. Now, I don't exactly like this, because in the book and in season 2, Maekar is going to consent to his son going with Dunk. So this is kind of played for gags, but eventually he will consent, because obviously if he didn't consent, they would just find the kid and bring him back. So obviously he needs to consent for the rest of the story to happen. But they kind of used a punchy end line, but also a part of me is they should have given him a complete sort of happy ending to his character, like Maekar, where he did consent in the end. He will, just I guess not at the end of this season. Anyway, it's a fantastic show, fantastic ending. I would say this episode's great. This one is a masterpiece. This one is very, very high grade, close to a masterpiece. This one is great. This one is very good, and this one is very good. So it is a great show. I'm looking forward to it, and I really enjoyed watching it, and I was a little skeptical in those first 2 episodes, but the show really won me over. It's directed impeccably. There are incredible nature shots that are not as easy as you think to make look unique, which this show does make them unique and beautiful, both. House of the Dragon did have some good nature shots, but not nearly as good as this film. Overall, directed great. The action, insane direction on the action. Fantastic direction. Sorry, fantastic acting from Peter Claffey, Dexter Solancel, Daniel Ings, the guy that played Raymond, great. Arlen, Arian, Baylor's actor, Makar's actor. They were all fantastic. This lady was kind of good. I liked her. She was cute. She was the redheaded prostitute. This girl. She was cool. She had a funny accent. And, oh yeah, the kid that played Young Dunk was also great. The only actor I didn't really like was this guy. I did not like his performance for some reason. It just didn't appeal to me. Oh, Tenzel's actor, I liked her too. This girl was kind of funny. I don't know if she was just like autistic or just playing like an angsty teen, but she was kind of funny. What else is there to say about this show? A amazing story that I did not really predict where it was going. Fantastic moments that will stick in my head. Iconic, memeable, epic, fun, entertaining, happy, sad, powerful, got good vibes. It's like, it's a wonderful show, and it's only like about 3 hours total. Because they're about 30 minutes each. Some of them are like 45, so about 3 hours. And yeah, guys, as you can see, it got a lot of reviews. And it got great viewership numbers as well. But yeah, I enjoyed making this video. I hope you watch this. Even if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, there's absolutely nothing wrong with watching this. And you don't need to watch Game of Thrones to enjoy this. So thank you for watching. That's been Sussy Boy. See ya. Peace out.